People that are always looking to get started in rent-to-rents ask me, what are the steps to take for me to actually go about getting started? In this video, I'm gonna break down all the things that you need to know if you are someone that's considering or looking at getting started off with the rent-to-rent business. Now, first thing, the absolute first thing that I would be looking at myself is funds. How much am I actually starting off with to allow me to kickstart this business off on the right foot? Because look, as you may know, or as you may not know, getting started in rent-to-rent requires funds, to actually take on a property itself. I mean, look, it varies. It varies depending on location, the city, the size of the property, but I would say a decent range that you can work with when actually taking on a deal is anywhere between £5,000 to £7,000. From what I've seen, that's a decent average to work with. Now, look, don't get me wrong. If you're getting it in certain parts of London, for example, you could be spending way more. There's deals that I've had clients of mine take on that they spent £25,000 on deals, sometimes even more. But then there are other deals that I know other people, even our clients, have taken on to where they spent a lot less, including myself. I've taken on deals in the past where I've only spent a couple of £1,000s, but they were very good deals that were making decent profit each and every month. So that's the first thing you need to understand. So if you have that amount to start off with, no problem. It's a decent starting point for you to get started off with this business. If you don't, if you're someone that has less than that, maybe a couple of grand, 2, 3, 4 grand, whatever the case may be, don't get me wrong. Is it possible for you to find a rent-to-rent deal with, 4 grand, maybe even 3? Yes, but it's very, it becomes a lot harder because now you have to look at location. If you're someone that's based in, I don't know, Newcastle or, somewhere in the northeast where the rent is super cheap, then yeah, you could get away with that. But if you're based anywhere else, you're not going to be able to get away with that. So personally, what I would suggest, if you're starting off with less than 5K, I would suggest for you to more look at the deal sourcing strategy. This is when you're obviously finding deals and you're selling it on to other people for a fee. The typical fee as of now is around £3,000. Don't get me wrong, some people do charge more, others do charge less, but this is the average fee or so. So if you're starting off with less, that's what I would more recommend for you to get started off with. Or maybe if you're actually sold on the idea of getting involved with rent-to-rent itself, then maybe you can actually, wait to save up a little bit more money before you actually get kick-started off with the rent-to-rent business. But if you want to move quite quickly, you don't really want to wait too long for you to have enough funds, I would recommend the deal sourcing strategy. Because if you really think about it, how many deals do you have to sell for you to be able to have enough deals to fund a rent-to-rent deal? So if each deal you sell, you're making 3 grand, 2 deals, that's 6 grand. That's 6 grand that you have made from selling 2 deals that you can put forward towards your own deal. And, there's people out here that are selling, 3, 4 deals a week. You know what I mean? So it's definitely possible if you are going about it the right way, of course. Cool. Now that you've established how much money you're actually starting off with and based off that, what strategy actually works well for you, now is the time to actually go about getting yourself actually educated on this strategy right here. Now look, whether that's paid education, mentorship, courses, whatever the case may be, or whether that's just consuming a lot of the free, training, resources online that's out there. I've put out tons, and tons of free training courses. Even if you check out my YouTube, there's loads of different, training course videos that you can actually go through that honestly, if you're actually just following what I'm showing you and what I'm saying, you can actually use that and get things moving 110%. So just making sure you're getting the right education, from early on, that will help you honestly give you the foundations that you need to actually make the right moves when you're getting involved with this method right here. But of course, there's also the paid route where you're paying for, training, mentorships, where you're getting closer access to the people that are doing this day in and day out. That's something you're looking to do. We can definitely help you out with that. I've actually left a link in the description box for you to schedule a call with us if you're interested to see how we can best help. So now that we've established that part, now you want to pay attention to the areas that you're going to focus on. This is extremely important. Let's assume that you're looking to take on deals for yourself. Well, if you're based in London, does it make sense for you to start in Manchester? Don't get me wrong, you can do that, it's possible, and I know people that have done that, but is it practical? Is it advisable? Personally, I'd say not, it's not. The reason for that is because, look, the thing is, at the start, you're gonna have to be pretty hands-on. This is how you're gonna learn how everything works, which means that you're gonna have to go to the property, quite often. To attend to certain, issues, certain maintenance-related problems, guest-related problems, if you're looking to do service accommodation, etc., etc. Now, if you're having to travel 3 to 4 hours each time. Just as a, not even a round trip, just one-way trip. So that's like 6 hours round trip. I mean, it's just not gonna, for me personally, I just don't see that as being worth the time, if I'm being honest with you. Now, look, don't get me wrong. Could you do that later on? Yes, 100%. As of now, like, we take on deals that are not that close to us at all because, of course, we have that, the knowledge, the know-how, the understanding, and also we have the right systems, the processes, and the teams as well to allow us to be able to do that, properly. So if you're someone that's just starting off in London or, somewhere else, I would honestly advise you to maybe take on a unit within an hour to an hour and a half's distance. I would say that's a decent distance for you to work with. I mean, come on, man, there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands of properties in that radius right there. You know what I mean? So there's quite a few to choose from. Unless you're based in the countryside, that's a bit different. But if you want my personal recommendation, start off within an hour to an hour and a half from yourself, and set that as the decent starting point for yourself. Next step is to make sure that you're actually going about getting yourself set up on the right foot. So that means getting your limited company set up. That means making sure you're a part of the correct compliances, you have the correct insurances, etc., etc. Now look, instead of me listing it out one by one, I've left a link for you to access a PDF guide that will literally walk you through step by step exactly everything you need to get yourself set up with to allow you to kickstart this business off on the right foot. When it comes to how much is needed to get yourself set up, it's honestly not that much. We're looking at maybe, I would say, between £300 to £400, and that's including a website, by the way, a decent little website for yourself. To be fair, I would probably say if you want to get a proper website, I'd probably say more between the 500 to 600 mark for you to go about getting yourself fully set up, including having a nice website there or paying someone to create a nice website for you. But if you're looking to take the budget route, you could go about putting together a website yourself using platforms like Squarespace, Wix, GoDaddy. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You just select a template, get some pictures, maybe use ChatGPT to come up with some text for you. Boom, bam, you're in business. If you chose that route, you're probably more looking at, between £200 to £300 for you to actually get yourself fully set up with this business right here. The next step is for you to be attacking this thing immediately. What I mean by that is you need to be sending out inquiries to landlords, to estate agents, to allow you to actually start searching for decent properties for yourself to be able to take on. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, this part right here is probably the hardest part. It's where people struggle the most, and it's where a lot of people fall off because, look, let me keep it very real with you. This part right here is not easy, and a lot of people or a lot of landlords and a lot of estate agents, will reject you. And that's just the nature of this business right here. However, it is a volumes game. The person that sends out the most amount of inquiries, the person that goes the hardest and contacts the most amount of people. I mean, look, think about it like this. If you have 2 people, one person contacts, 5 landlords a day. The other person contacts 50 landlords a day. Who is more likely to get a landlord that is willing to work with them and do rent-to-rent with them? Obviously, it's going to be the second person because, in a week, whilst the first person's sending out 30 inquiries, the second person's probably sending out, close to 200 inquiries. My maths is not all the way there, but yeah, quick one. My mistake. That's actually 350 inquiries, but you get the point. It's a volumes game, so you want to make sure that in order to maximize the chances of you actually succeeding with this, you are, sending out the most amount of volume that you can possibly send out with these landlords and also estate agents as well. And you have to have thick skin. You have to have thick skin because, I remember when I was doing it, I was actually on the phone calling a lot of these guys, and when I'd get rejected a lot and these guys were just, I wouldn't say they'll take the piss and be condescending, but, not too far off that, it would hurt, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, it would hurt a lot. But I didn't have a choice. I just had to keep pushing through it and just, develop that thick skin and just be patient and just, really, really know that my time is coming. I just need to be patient. And, it paid off because, I was able to, find the first landlord that was willing to work with me, and then from there, just build it up and continue to take on a lot more properties. So that's why it's so, so important for you to develop a thick skin and actually be patient with this game right here. We have some students, don't get me wrong, we have students that join that do very well. They're able to get their deals in, a couple of weeks, couple of months, and they're really able to scale it to a good level within a relatively short space of time. But then we have other students that it actually does take them quite a long time as well, but they still are able to get to that point. I'll give you an example. Ashanti, for example, that's one of our students. She probably got started off in the program, I would say a little over a year and a half ago, maybe even close to 2 years to be fair. And right now, I mean, she was about 20 years old at the time when she joined. And right now, she's at the point right now where her business is generating close to about £5,000 per month. And don't get me wrong, it's a long time. And, you know, for her, it did take quite a bit of time to pick things up. Of course, you know, she was working a very intensive job and she didn't have the most amount of time at the start, but she persisted. She didn't stop. You know, we continued working with her and eventually she did get to that point. So yeah, like, and I'm going to keep it real with you. You know, this is me just being 110% honest. We have students that are like that as well, but we continue working with them. If they give us their all, we will 100% give them their all to make sure they get to where they need to be. Now she's not working anymore. She does it completely full time. And, you know, that's a lot of people's dreams, to be fair. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind as well when you're starting this, and I see so many people fall into this trap right here. They're just so eager to take on a deal that they'll just take on any deal, even if it's not the best deal whatsoever. I wouldn't recommend that. I would not recommend that at all. You know, if you're looking at a certain deal, here's the criteria you want to be following. Make sure that if you're investing into a rent-to-rent deal, you're able to get your money back out maximum in a year. Even a year is a long time. Ideally, between, I would say, 6 to 9 months. That's ideal. A year should be maximum. Anything above a year, I wouldn't consider it personally. And profit-wise, look, if I'm being honest with you, I would say look for something that's at least £700 per month in profit. I would say if you're going for £500, the problem with that is it doesn't take a lot. Like, for example, if there's like a maintenance issue, or if there's certain things that go wrong with the property, it doesn't take a lot for all your profits to get wiped out, you know, and for you not to be making any money, or for you to even be taking a loss. You know, so ideally the deal should be making, in my opinion, £1,000 per month in profit, but the bare minimum that I would suggest, £700. And also make sure you are doing the numbers correctly as well. This is so important. I see so many people miscalculate the numbers. What do I mean by this? Well, they're looking at a deal and they think that, you know, they could be charging £200 per night when really and truly the realistic amount is 150. And that makes such a massive difference on the profit margins itself. Not only that, they won't factor in certain crucial expenses. So maybe they even get the daily rate or the nightly rate correct, but they're not factoring in the correct cleaning expenses. And I see a lot of people do this. They underestimate how much the cleans is going to be. For example, they'll say, you know, each clean is going to be about £50, when really and truly, more realistically, you're looking at about £80 to £90. You know, and these little things, they add up. They add up, especially if you have loads of guests coming in and out of your property and, you know, you're not factoring that in correctly. And yeah, even just making sure you're getting all the bills, the council tax, everything to an absolute T will ensure that you are actually, you know, realistically seeing the actual picture of how much you can actually make with this specific deal right here. As a matter of fact, another thing I've done for you as well, just to help you out, I've left a deal calculator in the description box of this video right here for you to access that, just to, you know, help you out and just give you a clear view of everything you need to calculate when you're calculating a deal. And then, of course, once you've secured a deal, this is when you need to get that deal fully set up, fully staged. You have to start managing that deal and doing everything in your power to maximize, you know, the bookings that you're receiving. But that's honestly a topic for another video right there. With this one right here, I just wanted to give you an idea or a guide, of everything that you need to do to allow you to kickstart this business off on the right foot and to give yourself the best possible chance of you actually kickstarting this thing off on the right foot. So I'm gonna let you go. Catch up with you.